and this is Hood Love TV, where you live, love, and learn. Today, I'll be reacting to Fivio Foreign kind of disrespecting Knives on the Jim Jones podcast, A to A, artist to artist. You know what I mean? Um, they had a good hip hop conversation, but I think it was kind of disrespectful the way he spoke on Knives. So that's what we talking about today. Um, Hip hop history. Um, and I'm gonna tell you today also why these artists are doing this to a guy like Nas. Let me start it out like this. Right now, Nas is the greatest rapper of all times. At this point, right now. At this point, right now, Nas is the greatest rapper of all times. Um, there's nobody, he got the battles, he got major battles, he got the classic songs, he got the longevity, for doing it for years and years, decades. His 15 minutes of fame extended beyond. Hove, legendary one of his bars said, "Who's the best rappers? Jay-Z, Biggie, and Nas." Tupac, in one of his famous songs, he said, "This little ninja named Nas think he live like me." When Biggie and the whole East Coast, West Coast beat was going on in hip hop in the 90s, Biggie tried to recruit Nas to go at Tupac. He ain't try to recruit Jay-Z or anybody else on the East Coast. Nas been a top 5 rap in hip hop since it was written. We seen his greatness in Illmatic with, Halftime, Life's a Bitch, and Then You Die, New York State of Mind. We seen his greatness, but it was written, solidified him as one of the best rappers in New York, one of the best rappers in hip hop. Once it was written, came out in 1996, when Tupac and Biggie and all of them was around, all the best rappers were still around, solidified Nas in the pantheon of great rappers in hip hop. You see what I'm saying? And his work after that, we're gonna get into some of his work. We're gonna get into some of his stuff. But I think I think Fivio Foreign was clout chasing. I really think he was clout chasing, trying to get his viral moment, and he got it. He got a viral moment because Nas' name is so great, and he know he's going to get a backlash. Everybody's going to come out. All the real hip hop heads is going to step out and be like, "Yo, you bugging." So your name is going to be in lights if you diss a dude like Nas, right? And salute to Jim Jones. Salute to Fivio Foreign. You know what I mean? I like Fivio Foreign. I like a lot of his songs. Big Drip. I probably got one of his songs in one of my playlists. I think in one of my drill, I got a drill playlist. I'm on Apple Music. Mikey be the author. You can check my playlist out. I think I got. I know for a fact I got Demons and Goblins in that playlist. Demons and Goblins and him and Meeks Mills. That's fire. So I like Fivio Foreign as a rapper, but that's why they trying to podcast now, because they 5 minutes of fame is over. They don't have it. They don't have the chops Yo, Jack, what up? They don't have. Let me tell you something. When Fivio foreign, let me let y'all hear this. I'm gonna let y'all hear this first, and then I'm gonna go in after that. Check it out. I'm gonna let y'all hear this first. He was dissing me on my own record, but nigga, that was Jade. He was the most super poppin'est nigga ever on my record. Right. I turned it Aisha, what's up? Thanks for tapping in. Appreciate you. Into a remix, and I got paid off my own remix. That shit, you heard, it works like that sometimes. If you figure out how to turn your positive into a negative, it's gonna work way better than it hits you. You know what I mean? But when niggas Debbie Downers and negative Nancy's and they feel something went wrong and they be like the managers and the business people and the A&Rs, and they like, damn, you fucked up. You got people with this shit. Damn, no. Because people act like they never figure out the solution. 100%. Let's figure out how we make this work in our favor. This right now, bro. I gotta get some dollars. Man, look what I just went through with the whole Nas situation and shit like that. You heard, like, it's me being me, but I know how to twist. I do these things better than not. I'm gonna tell you why. Let's not get. Let's. Can I just say why? All right, let me just say one thing. What I feel. I grew up with niggas like Sosa, Chino, and I'm not saying that the man is wacky. He's not a legend. He's been out for years. So I got a song with the nigga, and I got a song on the album, and the album got a Grammy. But I can't sit there and say a Nas bar to you or a song. I like One Mic, or like a song that's like. But I can. It's not me. So, but I understand. So that's what I want the people to know. Like, but I can, because Nas was my era. See, Jim tried to check him right there. Jim tried to check him. He said he had a Grammy with Nas. He said all this other stuff, One Mic, but you still trying to belittle. You trying to belittle a legend. You trying to belittle a dude that you was on a track with, that you made money with, on an album that got a Grammy. You see what I'm saying? And let me tell you something. With him saying he only know a bar from One Mic, it shows me why Fivio Foreign is now going to podcasting and not rapping. Because he wasn't a student of his culture. He wasn't a student of his culture. If you go to college and you pick any course you pick, you're gonna have to study other people or other whatever industry, whatever, you're gonna have to study the people that were great in those areas, science, whatever. You're gonna have to study these people, right? But he didn't study. He didn't do the studying. That's why he's so rigid and stuck in his little box. He can't go out and he can't reach new crowds and reach new people and reach a new audience, extend his audience, right? Because he's so stuck. He didn't study the greats. Let me tell you something. Besides this generation, and like since the 2000s, since the 2000s, I have heard guys disrespecting rappers. Excuse me. I have heard rappers disrespect their elder statesmen that came before them. The 90s, none of them dudes did that. Tupac ain't do it. Biggie ain't do it. Nobody did that. Everybody bigged up the Rakims, the Coogee Raps, the Big Daddy Kanes, Eminem. Eminem is going to go down as one of the greatest rappers, white or not. Hip hop is not a color. Hip hop is the voice of the ghetto youth. Hip hop is the voice of the ghetto youth, right? And Eminem came up from the ghettos of Detroit, right? Yo, salute, bro. What up?
Yo, salute, Mikey B. You already
Lot going on
know.
TV. Smitty in the
A lot
building. What
going
up?
on, man. It's a lot going on, man.
So what I was just talking about was Eminem as far as being one of the greats, and him. You know, he called himself White Pac, legendary verse White Pac. In the Renegade song with him and Jay Z, he called himself the new Ice Cube. He understood. That means he studied the greats. He knew that they were great in their time and that he was them now.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? The game, you got to be a student of your culture. If you're not a good student, then your 5 minutes of fame is going to be really short. And that's what you see with these guys because they're not studying the culture. They're getting caught up with the popping the bottles, the strip clubs, the being outside, and they not on them bars. They not trying to be the best rapper. They not trying to be the best poet. You got Will I Am talking about Black Thought is a trillion times better than Jay-Z, right? I don't know if I agree with that because I don't know that much of Black Thought's work. I know, don't get me wrong, I know Black Thought is nice.
Nah, boy, it's fine. I think I always thought Black Thought was up there with Jay Z, but
Black Thought is
they
nice.
they never gave him the recognition
But a
because of the
trillion
way
times
he's.
better than Jay-Z, I don't know. I don't know about that.
Yeah,
Now
I can't say that.
I'm not saying he's not a good writer. I'm not saying he's not a good writer, but it takes something to make
Father.
your and it takes something to make money off your music and to make your bars legendary.
Right.
Like 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 Future. What they call him? Pluto? Like Future. Homie, he not really ill with the bars, but he know how to make a record that's gonna jam in the club that you're gonna rock out to and get his bag.
Right.
2 Chainz was like that. They might not have been the best lyricists, but they knew how to make a song to get a bag. You understand what I'm saying? So there is a level of lyricism versus marketing and monetary type of rap. Stuff for the club, stuff that's gonna get you. It's not gonna be a classic, but it's gonna be hot. These dudes got hot songs. They're not gonna be memorable, right? It's let me tell you something. Like we know about Mozart, right? We not even
Who?
into that Mozart.
Yeah.
We not even into that culture. We don't know the music, but we know his name. 50 years from now, all these rappers that we hearing, they're not gonna be talking about none of these dudes 50 years from now.
Nah, facts.
30 years, 30 years, you gotta remember, Biggie and them died almost 30 years ago, Biggie and Tupac. Next year will make 30 years for Tupac.
Mm-hmm.
We still talking about Tupac. Some of us still feel that Tupac is the greatest rapper ever 30 years later. Think
Right.
about it. Think about it. We got to look at the long term of that. Even when we was kids and we was coming up in the 90s or whatever, the 80s or the 90s, we wasn't really into the 70s. Our parents was into the 70s, but we still talking about rappers and listening to songs from the 90s. I still listen to Biggie every day, bro.
Right.
I got Tupac in my playlist right now every day, bro. 30
Right.
years. That was made 30 years ago. That's a feat in itself. That's a feat. That's greatness in itself, bro. We ain't
Right.
looking at things from longevity. Will we be listening to Big Drip 30 years from now? Will we be listening to the Demon and Goblins? I'm just saying. Will these people be 10 years from now? Will they
My,
even
my
be relevant? Joe Biden's got a big podcast. He making money. Nobody's talking about. You don't hear Pump It Up. You don't hear none of his music. when he making money podcasting. But his music is dead. I wonder if he's still getting money off his music. Think about it though. You got to think about things from a different perspective, bro.
Yeah, I know. I get what you're saying. I definitely get what you're saying on that tip. But these like you said, these young rappers, they don't study the game. You know, they don't know real hip hop. They say that's a um the brother Fivio, he reflects what the streets is about today. You know what I'm saying? And what hip hop is about today. Violence, backdoors, disrespecting each other on wax, you know what I mean? Coming up in interviews, starting trouble that you're not supposed to be starting. Like, it's today's rap, man. This is today's rap. This is how these babies want to move. They don't care about nothing. We already know how Fabio get down. He flipped out on Mace, somebody that put him on. You don't remember?
Oh, yeah, true. That is
Come
true.
on. We talking about Fivio Foreign. We talking about the gutter right here. We talking about the new millennium zombie gombi babies. You heard? That's what I call them, the zombie gombi babies. You heard? For real, man. Like, they done. They don't care, you know what I mean? And that's the truth of it. He don't respect Nas because he didn't grow up in that culture. You know what I'm saying? He did not grow up in that culture. He knows nothing about Nas. I mean, he heard the songs if I ruled the world when he was a baby and stuff, but he never knew the meaning and the true, you know what I'm saying, value of that song, or it's a lot of things these kids don't know about, man. You understand?
Yo,
Like,
I got
even
10
when I
songs. I wrote 10 songs right here that none of these dudes that's talking about knives, they don't got one song that can stand up to any of these songs.
Right, and not only that, bro. Before you get into that, when me as a as an artist and a brother that makes music, um, I always went back to the old school to look for different beats, different sounds,
Look what my wife put
different.
on top, Mikey and Shayna.
Right, right.
I didn't even
Yeah,
notice that till right now. She just she did that when I wasn't looking, yeah.
yeah. That's that high school. I'm still in love. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
that's that honeymoon still going.
You know my 20th anniversary is coming up, right?
Yeah, that's what's up, baby.
Next week, my 20th anniversary, you heard?
We need to link up or something. Go out and get something to eat, a drink or something.
20 year anniversary next week, you heard?
Oh, that's a blessing right there.
20-year anniversary, bro. 20 years of marriage, bro, next week.
Nah, that's beautiful right there, man. I
Look,
salute you on that.
she's still doing stuff like this. Look, I didn't even know she did that on it.
Nah, that's love right there. That's that old
I,
school love.
I didn't even know that. I was taking my notes for the show tonight. I said, yeah, let me put my little notes together. I slipped in the shower and I come back. She got that up there, yeah. That's
Well, what's the
crazy.
10 songs that you put up that none of the artists that's going against Nas could step up to, including Jim Jones?
I'm gonna tell you the 10 songs that I got, cause Fivio acting like he don't know the 10 songs. I'm gonna post them up in the community chat too as well. But number one, New York State of Mind.
Crazy.
He talking about he never heard New York State of Mind. Are you serious?
You're not a New York vet if you ain't here in New York State. I don't care how old you are.
All right, number one, I
You're
got
not a
New
New
York.
York
I
vet.
got I got New York State of Mind from Illmatic.
It's crazy.
Number two, the whole it was written. The whole and on his list, I don't got any songs where he had features. I didn't put any songs where he had features on the songs. Um,
No
Number
features.
two, I got the message from It Was Written. Number three, I got I Gave You Power from It Was Written. You know, I gave you power. I made you buck wild. When he was talking about I'm a gun, he made himself into a gun.
Come on.
Number four, I got Street Dreams. Also from It Was Written. It Was Written is a whole. It Was Written could just be in the whole list. The whole 10 songs could be on It Was Written. It Was Written is
Nothing.
like It Was Written is one of his best albums.
No, yo, it was written is. It, it, let me tell you, it's 5 albums that you go to in New York that's like just major. Like, you have to have them, right?
Go ahead, what are they?
Illmatic is one of them. Reasonable Doubt.
Reasonable Doubt, gotta have that.
Ready to Die.
Ready to Die, gotta have that.
Um, Cuban Links.
Only Built for Cuban Links, gotta have
Only
that.
Built for Cuban Links. And the last and very, very last one, I'm gonna have to give any Cool G rap album. Any
Coogee Rap is
Cool
a
G
beast.
rap album.
Coogee Rap is a beast.
I don't
But
care
you're
who
right
it is.
though. I'm ready to die. Yo, let me tell you something. Yo, listen. Coogee Rap, I be listening to Coogee Rap every day. You know that, right?
Come on, man.
Yo, you gotta tap into Mikey B the author on Apple Music. Check my playlist.
All
I got
right,
a
I got you.
Gangstar playlist.
I got you.
Mikey be the author on Apple Music. I got the crazy playlist. I got a few. I got the drill joints. I got the old school. I got rap. I got the slow jams. I got all that, you heard? But check it out. So we was at number 5. Number 5 is Black Girl Lost. I started with number 1 with New York State of
Mm,
Mind, The Message, I Gave You Power, Street Dreams. 5 is Black Girl Lost.
mm.
Number 6 is Nas's Like, or Amen, or I Am. Number 7 is Ether on Stillmatic. Number 8 is One Mic on Stillmatic.
What?
Number 9 is I Can on God's Son.
You know I can.
And number 10, I'm gonna just throw something out there. I'm gonna say I'm gonna put Made You Look
I made you look.
on God's Sons.
Ooh.
I'm gonna put Made You Look. But they don't got no songs that can stand, and I ain't even go in. I just went. Money Mike had the white tag jag, smoke 100 bag, rock a do rag. His crew had Lex G450, and it was risky because at the heist, Mike got bagged and off for 60. He said, if I go, I'm taking a whole crew with me. They sent him out to Mississippi. COs is like KKK. Mikey survived one day. Can't all the ninjas hit the rednecks say. He left
Ooh.
the letter for the DA. Yo,
Yo,
Nas
my
is not.
son Nas
Yo,
was.
I'm going to make it if I try. Cross my heart, hope to die. Praise the Lord. I've been scored with hot water. Days is shorter. Next court date's around the corner. Yo, listen.
Ooh.
I don't know why they playing with this dude, yo. They trying to get Ethan. They
Nah,
trying to get Ethan.
they trying to get Ethan.
Yo, they trying to get Ethan. Let me tell you something. And I like Jim Jones. I love the work that he did with the Dipset, and I love his personal Hustler's Poem. Hustler's Poem is one of my favorite albums.
Right,
Hustler's Poem is one of my favorite albums. You heard?
right,
To the judge, he can never take me alive. I'm a
right, right,
ride. Don't get it twisted. I love the hip hop conversation. But you gotta put respect on the elders' names. You gotta put respect on the people that came before you and paved the way for you. You gotta put respect on their names, bro. Like y'all chasing clout up here. And I know how it go on YouTube. I know how it go on the internet. You trying to get your little viral moments, trying to get your little stuff. But you,
right.
come on, bro.
He
You gotta put,
tried. He tried though. He tried. He
come
tried.
on, bro.
He
You
thought he
gotta,
was. He thought
yo, you
Nas
know,
was
Quinn, what
gonna
up?
jump out
Salute.
the window. He thought Nas was gonna jump out the window crazy and just
And Ether
get
me.
and get him viral quick fast. He thought he tried. He tried the dirt. He tried the dirty sector move. He
But
pulled the
not, but
dirty
Nas is,
sector.
but yeah, he tried. But Nas is too small. He know they
G'd up
clout. They
quick.
chasing clout. He know they chasing clout.
Nah,
They not
fact.
on his level. You know, he was bombing on the dudes that was on his level, but they not
Right.
on his level. Biggie, when Biggie tried to go that Tupac, he ain't go get Hove. He went to Nas. Like, yo, let's go at Pac together. All the greats missing, all the greats missing Nas, sure. All the greats missing Nas, bro.
All the greats mention Nas.
So
Jay
regardless,
Z, Biggie Smalls, Pac.
I'm out
And
for
you know
presidents to
one thing. You
represent
know what's
me.
crazy is that
I'm
I
out for
only
presidents to
heard
represent me.
I only heard Nas mention Jay Z, and he never. I never. If he threw shots at Biggie and them and Pac and them, he gave it in a such a, the way he put his balls together, like it was so. like discreet. You couldn't really catch it to if he told you. You understand what I'm saying? Like y'all, so he never really like hated on nobody. Like I've never seen him hating on nobody in the game.
But let me put this in here real quick, and I'm gonna let you know why rappers like Jim Jones and Fivio Foreign are going at the likes of Nas, his legacy, and they really trying to
I'm
erode his
here. I'm here.
they trying to erode his legacy. Let me tell you why they really doing it. The reason why they really doing it is because Nas, that bar is set so high, that bar is so high that they can't reach the bar. That bar that Tupac, Biggie, Cool G Rap, Big Pun, Big L, that bar, that bar is so high. DMX, ODB, the Wu Tang, that bar they set is so high. These new rappers can't contend. They can't contend. So they have to break the bar down. They trying to change, yo, who you followed as a dresser. Jim Jones asked them, who did you follow as a dresser? Who did you follow as a dresser? Like, who did you follow? You got to change the bar from just us being nice, just us, making good raps. Who the best on this mic? Who the best MC, the best mic controller? You know what I'm saying? They got to change the bar. That's what you see going on. Your Mike Velez, salute. G Up Quinn, yo, what up? That's what I'm saying. Nas saluted all of them because that's what real dudes is going to do, G Up Quinn. They're going to salute the real ones. They're going to salute them. But that bar, that Nas and Tupac and Biggie and Big Pun and Big L and all these great Grand Poobah, KRS-One, Cool G Rap, Big Daddy Kane, Ice Cube, the bar they set in the late 80s and the early 90s, that bar is so high that these new rappers will never ever be able to get to that bar. They never be able to achieve it. So they got to try to break the bar down. Now they just talking on podcasts now. Forget the rapping. They're not even rapping. They're not even rap. They're not going at these dudes with raps. They are talking and trying to erode the respect. And hip hop is rejecting this shit. Hip hop is like, yo, I seen dudes on platforms saying F Fivio foreign. I done seen all I seen all kind of stuff up here. I'm not on that type of time because I like the conversation. I like the hip hop conversation. I think we should have these hip hop conversations. You know what I'm saying? We should have these hip hop conversations. But who did Eminem? What great did Eminem disrespect? Eminem ain't disrespect no great because he knew he was great in a line of greatness. These dudes ain't no great rappers. They not good. They all right. They made some money. They got in and they got out. They was hot for a minute, but they wasn't classic. It's a difference between having a hot song and a classic song. You can have a hot song and you hot for right now, but you ain't legend. It's not a legendary song. It's not a classic song. And let me tell you something. Redman, yo, that's right. That's facts. I got Redman tonight's the night. Tonight's the night. Eminem ain't playing. You want to see me get smooth? Redman is my god. Time for some action. Y'all listen to that all day. That's what I listen to. That's what I listen to when I'm working. Redman. I listen to all that woo. That's what I'll be listening to. This new stuff, that stuff they made is timeless. Mike Velez, you right. They be saying stuff to go viral. It's true. They know God's gonna talk about it, put their name and they gonna be on the algorithm. They gonna have the algorithm. So I understand they doing some of this stuff for clout, but it's gonna make them look bad in the long run. You don't want to go viral for looking dumb. They say there's no such thing as bad publicity, but you don't want to go viral for looking stupid. And you was a rapper that was getting money. You don't want to go viral for looking stupid. I'm just being honest. Go viral, go viral because you said the right things. That's what I'm saying, G Up. Quinn Homie was before his time. Nas is gonna be like a Mozart in 100 years. Nas is gonna be like a Mozart. Y'all still talk. They're not gonna remember these dudes. 30 years from now, we still talking about. I'm still listening to Nas right now from more than 30 years ago, bro. When I was coming up, when I was coming up in the 80s, I wasn't listening to nothing from the 50s, nothing from the 60s, barely anything from the 70s when my family played it, barely anything from the 70s. We listened to the stuff from 30 years ago, bro. Illmatic is 1994. New York State of Mind is 1994. That was 32 years, 31 years ago. It was written 1996, 29 years ago, bro. Reasonable Doubt, 29 years ago, bro. This is like legendary work for us to even be talking about this stuff on the internet now, for these dudes to even be in the conversation when their career started 30 years ago, bro. In hip hop, they took the place of the James Browns, of the Michael Jacksons. They took their place, bro. They took their seat. Yo, all Henny, what up? Salute to everybody pulling up, man. You already know what it is, man. Live at the barbecue is fire, you heard? I went to hell for snuffing Jesus. How he ain't? And let me tell you something. Yo, shit alive, y'all. Yo, Aisha, what up? Yo, look. Now said he went to hell for snuffing Jesus on live at the barbecue, you heard? I'm not going to front. All this stuff we talking about now is legendary work. And I'm not saying Tupac wouldn't have been here if he was alive. If Biggie lived, he wouldn't have been here. Because I think Tupac would have definitely been here. Tupac was like, you know, Tupac got more albums than Nas, and he been dead for 30 years. How you got more albums than live dudes, and you been dead for 30 years? You heard? He was an animal. You heard? He was an animal in the studio. Tupac used to be my greatest rapper. I'm gonna be honest. Tupac used to be my greatest rapper. But now Nas, and yo, let me say something else too. That Ometra song with Raekwon and Nas, Raekwon got busy on that song, you heard? Raekwon really went in on that song, bro. That verse, that's a hard. He put a hard bars on that song, bro. That song is a classic song, bro. That's a great album. The whole Emperor's New Clothing is a great album. But Raekwon, that's on my playlist. But when I listen to that song and I listen to Raekwon's verses, Nas went in too. Both of Nas' verses he went in. I think the verse that they took off is better. But Raekwon really went in, bro. Raekwon's still nice. He still got it, bro. And that just shows you, you know, these new rappers. is talking about it on podcasts, and all of our greatest rappers is still making fire in the studios and got these dudes mad. How these dudes is still fire. I know they like, yo, how these dudes is still this nice? How this old ass dude is still this nice? I know they mad. That's why they trying to break the ball. They trying to break the ball. What do these people do when what do these people do when they can't win? They say they don't like it. I don't like that anyway. I don't do that anyway. I don't like that. That's what you see. They trying to change the ball. They talking about fashion, who got the most people rocking the clothes they rock, who was the best at throwing money in a strip club. You know what I'm saying? They doing all this other stuff. You know what I mean? They doing everything else. They doing everything else. They doing everything else except rapping. They doing everything else. They trying to keep everything else going. They trying to talk about everything else except who is the best spitter, who the best poet. It's poetry. It's poetry in motion. That's all it is. Poetry on a beat. Who the best black poets, white or whatever, Spanish? It don't make a difference. Who the best poets out here? Who the best on these tracks? They trying to switch the bar. They podcasting now. They talking about it instead of staying on them bars. Yo, man, yo, look. If hip hop ain't dead, they killing it. You heard? They trying to kill it. You heard? They trying to kill it. Yeah, Raekwon been nice. You heard? G-Dub Quinny been nice. You heard? I ain't gonna lie that. Both of the verses is nice. I like the second. I like the verse that didn't make it. I like Nas' second verse that didn't make it. That didn't make the cut. I like that better. But Raekwon went in. Raekwon's verse is fire. I ain't going front. Raekwon's verse is fire. I'm telling you, Jade is definitely up there. Big Pun. These is like the nice. This the bar. That's the bar in New York. They trying to break the New York bar. They trying to bring it down. They trying to bring it down instead of stepping up to the bar and getting nice and getting better at their craft. That's nasty, bro. You trying to break the ball. You trying to break the ball instead of being nice, instead of getting nice. Like, don't get mad, dude. Get nice. And I like some of Fivio Foreign's song. He got a song, he told a couple of stories. I like Fivio Foreign. I like some of his stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, the only song I think I got on my playlist though is Demons and Goblins with him and Meek Mills. That's the only song I'll be rocking to. You know what I mean? But hey yo, I ain't even tap into the firm. I try to just talk about Nav songs where he was by himself. Cause he got a lot of, songs where he had a lot of Life's a Bitch with AZ. I could go in. If I Ruled the World with Lauryn Hill. Homie got homie got hits. Homie got Coogee Rap. He got songs with the Woo. He got song with Coogee Rap. Homie got classic. He on mad classic songs. You know what I'm saying? But that's why these dudes is podcasting now because they didn't study their culture. They didn't study Rakim. They didn't study KRS-One. They didn't study the greats that came before them. Any profession that you go into, you should always do your research. You should always study. Coogee Rap, Big Daddy Kane. You know what I'm saying? Run DMC, LL Cool J, Fat Joe. You supposed to be a student of your culture. Brand Nubians, Redman, Wu-Tang Clan. I'll be listening to Brand Nubians, All for One, Brand Nubians, Chub Rock, Heavy D. They not a student of their culture. That's why they not nice like that. That's why they not nice like that. Homie said he don't know no Nas verses. Are you serious, bro? Fivio said he only know no Nas. He liked it one mic. Tribe Called Quest, like De La Soul, Rakim, Special Ed. That's right. I'll be listening to Rakim every day, son. Yo, paid in full? Yo, paid in full is an animal, you heard? Yo, when I'm working, I listen to paid in full at least 3 times a day, you heard? I listen to Paid in Full by Rakim at least 3 times a day, you heard? 50 Cent, he said, my favorite rapper saying, check out my melody. Rakim. His favorite rapper was Rakim. Nas' favorite rapper was Rakim. They ain't never diss Rakim. They ain't never got up nowhere and talked down on no greats. Nah, I listen to the symphony. Yo, the symphony is my joint. I don't care who first or who last. I know y'all better drop it at the drop of a dime, boy. Da-da-da-da-da, ah, da-da-da-da-da. Yo, the symphony is my joint. I ain't gonna lie. The symphony, that's when I got into hip hop. I was like 14 when the symphony came out. Marley gives a slice. I get nice, and my voice is twice as horrifying as Vincent Price. While you counting your money, while I'm counting my money, you count sheep. Coogee rap. That's what put me on the Coogee rap. The symphony put me on the Coogee rap. Yo, Boogie Black, what up? Nah, the symphony is one of them joints, you heard? You know what's one of them joints too? You know what I'll be listening to every day? The scenario. The scenario is fire. Scenario 1 and Scenario 2. Tribe Called Quest, Leaders of the New School. The scenario is top tier, you heard? The scenario? Yo, so wait a minute, G Quinn, the symphony? Right. The symphony, bro. Cause I put out more lights than a fight with Con Edison. Rip the damn stage like I'm on a rampage. And if you want race, I'ma make front page. Self-destruction was ahead of his time too. That's a fact. But yo, these dudes don't study the greats. They don't study the greats. That's why they not nice like that. That's why they not great like that. That's why they not great. That's why they not great like that. You gotta study. You gotta be a student of your culture. You gotta know who came before you. You gotta know what it takes. You gotta like even with the Tribe Called Quest, you gotta remember Q-Tip went on to be a great producer because Q-Tip listened to all the great old school and it helped his music because he listened to the soul music in the R&B before him. All those great producers, Large Professor, Premier, they all had great album collections. This is where they got their, this is where they got the beats from. You gotta remember, hip hop is rhyming on those beats, on break beats, but a lot of that was James Brown. If you listen to the music, a lot of the hip hop beats is from James Brown, mostly. That's why they try to say that James Brown, yo, the hip hop, yo, listen, hip hop, and let me tell you something. One of my elders too tapped in. And they trying to say hip hop and rap is the same thing. Hip hop and rap is not the same thing. We've been rapping since rapping was just rapping. Rap been going on. Hip hop was birthed in the 70s. Before that was rap. You had all kind of things going on in these speakeasies, these juke joints and speakeasies and all that stuff. That wasn't hip hop. But that was the birth of hip hop in those speakeasies and in those places. You know what I'm saying? That's where the birth of hip hop came from. Hip hop came from soul and R&B. That's where hip hop came from. Because they always was rapping. James Brown was rapping. Some of that stuff he wasn't singing. He was rapping. That's why you always hear the argument. You had that argument between KRS-One and MC Shan saying that hip hop started in Queens. That argument comes from all the soul and jazz greats lived in Queens in my neighborhood. James Brown included. James Brown lived in St. Albans, Queens. He lived in my neighborhood in the 60s and 70s. This is where all the great black people lived in New York City, right? I was born in the 70s. I'm 50 years old. James Brown is he lived in my neighborhood. He's not from my neighborhood, but when you was a black person with money, you came and moved to my neighborhood. They brought that vibe, that hip hop vibe to the city, to Queens. And this is why it was a beef between the Bronx and Queens. A lot of people don't know this. A lot of people don't understand this. But if you Google it, all the great jazz, soul, the musicians, the community of rappers and musicians were in Queens. They lived in Queens. So the parties and all the stuff they was throwing and the new music and the new stuff that was coming out, it was coming out of Queens too. So this is the argument between the Bronx and Queens. And I'm not saying that hip hop didn't start in the Bronx, but I'm telling you the argument is because it came from James Brown and them. Hip hop came from the jazz and the soul music. It didn't just come out of nowhere. They not, these dudes is trying to coin their names with hip hop. Um, what's the old timer dude from the Bronx that wears the shades? Kind of brolic. What's his name? I forgot his name. Cool, not Cool Herc. Is his name Cool Herc? It's two of them. It's two of them. Yeah, but you gotta right, G'd up, Quinn. But that's what people not understanding. It came from Grandmaster Caz. Like it came from soul and R&B. Hip hop was birthed. Hip hop was birthed from jazz, from the jazz musicians, from soul, and from R&B. That came from James Brown. All them dances, all that stuff, that came from them, bro. That's directly descended from them, bro. The rosters, the reggae dudes, they'll tell you they got their stuff from soul music. Melly Mel, Melly Mel, light skinned dude, Melly Mel. He's trying to say that he was the first MC, but he wasn't. I'm not saying it was true. I'm not taking nothing from the Bronx. I'm not taking nothing from the Bronx where hip hop, the origin of that. I'm not telling y'all, but I'm giving y'all the facts. You can Google this. James Brown and all the popular musicians of that time lived in Queens. They birthed hip hop. They birthed hip hop, bro. And I'm not saying it wasn't no organically done stuff. That was some stuff that came from other genres of music and they created hip hop, bro. They just ain't giving they props that they don't give. They steal props, bro. But you can Google that. That's something that you can Google. Right, Boogie Black? Facts. I ain't gonna lie. Salt and Pepper, you right, Boogie Black, but they was late. Yo, God, what up? Hip hop. James Brown influenced hip hop. Brown had both the message and the music to live up to that title, but he also put the good foot forward with a funky new sound that later became known to the world as hip hop. Look, bro, I'm telling you, James Brown is the one. James Brown is the one that created hip hop, bro. Don't get it twisted, bro. That's the legacy of us, bro. They trying to not get this man his props. Brown had both the message and the music to live up to that title, but he also put that good foot forward with a funky new sound that later became known to the world as hip hop. That later became known to the world as hip hop. It's no coincidence that Mr. Brown is one of the most sampled artists in hip hop. Peep to Get Up, Get Into It, and Get Involved sample on Knives. Understand that James Brown, if you listen to his music, he's rapping. He not singing in all his songs. James Brown is rapping in a lot of his songs. James Brown is not singing in all of his songs. James Brown is rapping in a lot of his songs. Look, look. Why is James Brown considered a great rap artist? James Brown is considered a great rap artist because he is the musical core on which nearly every rapper beat was built. I gotta Google James Brown. You gotta understand. how James Brown influenced hip hop. Yo, they not trying to get that man his props, but James Brown is really the godfather of hip hop. And James Brown lived in my neighborhood. He lived in St. Albans, Queens. That's where James Brown lived at that time. And I'm telling you, they not trying to give that man his props. James Brown is the godfather of hip hop. Understand that. If you never hear it nowhere first, you heard it on Whole Love TV. James Brown, May 3rd, 1933, December 25th, 2006, was a founding father of funk and one of the most important American musicians of all time. Brown was a music icon and innovator. He was popularly referred to as the godfather of soul. Homie is the godfather of soul. Brown had both the message and the music live up to that title, but he also put the good foot forward with a funky new sound that later became known to the world as hip hop. Understand his contribution, bro. Watch this. Look at this. I want y'all to see this yourself. Watch this. St. Albans. James Brown lived in St. Albans, a neighborhood in Queens, New York. Specifically, he resided near the Veterans Administration Facility, and his house is located in Hudson Square. This is the art. Jane in the 70s, when I was born, before I was born, in the 60s and 70s, James Brown lived in St. Albans. And they saying he's the godfather of hip hop. See, MC Shan and KRS-One was going at it. None of this came into the argument. James Brown was the reason why you had that heavy influence of hip hop in Queens. This is the difference between Queens and the Bronx. Not saying that the Bronx ain't start hip hop specifically, but James Brown been rapping before hip hop started. He's the one that ushered rap into the. He's the one that bring rap into the whole conversation. You see what I'm saying? He's the one. James Brown is the one that bring rap up. So Soul and Pepper and all of them was later, but James Brown was that guy, you heard? Many famous jazz musicians used to live in St. Albans, particularly in some of the large houses in a small western enclave known as Asley Park. The soul musician James Brown lived. Look, hold on, let me get this article for y'all. We got the whole history. Look, many famous jazz musicians lived in St. Albans, particularly in some of the large houses in the small western enclave known as Asley Park. The soul musician James Brown lived in St. Albans, very near to the Veterans Administration Facility, and once had the house painted all black as a neighborhood adjacent to Hollis. St. Albans was one of the brightest birthplaces of hip hop. Look, I ain't saying it. St. Albans is one of the birthplaces of hip hop and rap music genres in the 1970s and 1980s. I'm not saying it, bro. This is Google, bro. I'm telling y'all, y'all gotta really understand. Y'all gotta really understand what's going on. They trying to hide the truth from y'all. That was the whole argument between KRS-One and MC Shan. That's what they was arguing about. He was saying he was saying Queensbridge. Queensbridge is far from St. Albans. We closer to Brooklyn. My neighborhood is closer to Brooklyn than we are to Queensbridge. But I can understand him saying the influences from James Brown and all the jazz musicians that lived in my community, all the great musicians that were setting the trends at that time, that they created hip hop. Don't think that created hip hop just popped up. Hip hop didn't just pop up. Hip hop was created by them. They were already rapping. They were already rapping before hip hop. Rap is older than hip hop. They're not the same thing. You can rap, but you can rap and not be hip hop. Rap is rap. You can rap gospel music. Just because you rap it don't make it hip hop. See, that's the whole thing that we got mixed up. That we got mixed up as a whole, as a generation. Rap is exclusive. Rap is its own thing. Rap precedes hip hop. Rap is before hip hop. The Jubilaires, like I showed y'all on a video earlier, were the first rappers, and they talked gospel. That was gospel rap. The first rappers was, gospel rappers. But rap and hip hop is not the same thing. Let me just Google that. Look, it's right here. What's the difference between rap and hip hop? Rap is a musical genre focused on rhythmic vocal delivery, while hip hop is a broader cultural movement that includes various elements like DJing, breakdancing, and graffiti art. It's not the same thing. People think that rap and hip hop is the same thing. It's not. Rapping is rapping. Hip hop is hip hop. You can rap, you can rap on hip hop, but that don't mean just because you rapping that you are hip hop. Because you could rap without being on hip hop. You could be a rapper, not a hip hop rapper. This is what rap is: a musical genre characterized by rhythmic and rhyming speech, often delivered over a beat. It emphasizes lyrical skill, wordplay, and storytelling. Notable artists include Eminem, Kendrick Lamar, and Nas. Hip hop, a cultural movement that originated in the Bronx in the 1970s, encompassing not just music, including rap, but also dance, breakdancing, visual art, graffiti, and fashion. It serves as a platform for social commentary and expression, often addressing issues like racism, poverty, and inequality. Rap is specifically about the vocal delivery of lyrics, often with complex rhymes and rhythms. Hip hop includes rap, but also incorporates other elements like DJing, breakdancing, and graffiti, making it more comprehensive cultural phenomenon. Cultural significance. You see that cultural significance? Rap is a form of musical expression that can stand alone as a genre. Hip hop is a lifestyle and cultural movement that reflects the experiences and struggles of marginalized communities, influencing fashion, language, and social attitudes. That's why I say you live and you learn, you know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying, you know what I mean? That's what I'm just trying to show y'all the differences. This is her love, where you live, love, and learn. So I'm always gonna break it down and show y'all the differences. A lot of people think that rap and hip hop is the same thing. It's not. You can rap and be hip hop, but you can rap and not be hip hop. You got a lot of rappers. You got a lot of dudes that rapped on songs that are R&B artists, that are singers. Mary J. Blige, she rapped. Um, when she was talking with Grand Puba on that song, that was a rap. Seen you last week and you couldn't even speak. You try to play like you was all of that. Then you want to come to me with some chit chat. I don't have no time for the wham bam, gas me up, hit the skin and scram. I'm not having that. That was a rap. That was a rap. And she's an R&B singer. But she did Mary J. Blige rapped on a lot of her songs. So understand that rap and hip hop is not the same thing. And these are the origins of hip hop. If you never heard them before, these are the origins. James Brown is really the godfather of hip hop. He's the godfather. He's the first rapper. He's the one that ushered it in New York City. Other people grabbed onto it because he was that deal at the time, and the Bronx took it and they coined the phrase, and they originated hip hop and made it into a word, and put a word on what was being done at the time, but it was influenced by James Brown, other soul musicians, and other jazz musicians, you heard? But it's a good show for tonight. Hopefully y'all was entertained. Hopefully y'all got some good information. Cause that's what it's all about. You know what I mean? I want to make sure y'all get the information and y'all understand what's really going on. Because they'll tell you a bunch of anything out here just to chase the clout to be the man. But I want to make sure y'all get the real on what's really going on out here. You know what I'm saying? But that's the breakdown of hip hop. Um, it's a good show, you heard? I'm gonna tap out. Been up here for a while now, over an hour. You heard? I didn't even want this live to be this long, but it was a good one. You know what I mean? But salute to y'all. Salute to everybody that tapped in. Make sure y'all go, brothers. You go follow my brother, Smitty. A lot going on TV. G'd up Quinn. You know what I'm saying? Salute to y'all. Salute to everybody that tapped in. Bucks, Aisha, and all them over there. Word up. Got the brother Cosmology Bay up in here. You heard? Shady said she was 10. I didn't even see that. Yo, Boogie Black, yo, salute to all of y'all, man. But this is a good one, you heard? But yo, break it down, Google some of the stuff, you know, research. Be a student of your culture, man. Understand what's going on around you. Do your research. Um, Tap in, and all the information is right here in front of you. If you really want it, you just gotta ask the right questions. If you Googling something or AI asking AI or whatever you're doing, if you don't ask the right questions, you're never going to get the right answers. So if you're not getting the answer that you're looking for, just ask the question in a different way, but continue to ask questions. You heard? You already know what it is, man. It's Mr. Hood Love Mikey B, Bad Mikey Takeover, man. Salute. You already know what it is, man. Hood Love TV, where you live, love, and learn. Salute.